Cars are complex systems, and most offer several ways of connecting audio to the head unit to play test signals out of the infotainment system. Firstly, Bluetooth. Let me first address one of the questions I am often asked. Is Bluetooth accurate enough? The answer to that is yes. Absolutely, provided that you are using a high-quality, calibrated Bluetooth interface rather than an inexpensive Bluetooth dongle. This allows you to control the codec selection, for example, aptX for wideband frequency response and bit depth. Now I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Steve Tatarunas, who will explain more about testing via Bluetooth and demonstrate some measurements.
Thanks, Steve. Most commonly, consumers use their Bluetooth-enabled devices to connect to the in-car infotainment system for delivery of music and voice communications. But other applications allow for management of vehicle diagnostics, vehicle access, personalization of controls, and even vehicle sharing. Bluetooth connectivity gives us a standardized method to connect to the car's audio system to both send and receive audio test signals, simplifying what might otherwise be a complex hardware and wiring setup. Earlier, you saw Steve Temme perform a variety of in-vehicle measurements, all of which were made over a Bluetooth connection between SoundCheck and the car audio system. The Bluetooth signals were transmitted using the BTC4149 Bluetooth interface from our measurement partner Portland Tool & Die. Unlike Bluetooth dongles, which are essentially black boxes having unknown characteristics, the BTC4149 is a laboratory-grade Bluetooth 3.0 compliant RF interface. It supports a comprehensive suite of codecs, protocols, and other significant settings and can be configured through touchscreen controls, a command line interface, or message steps in a SoundCheck sequence. These options provide unparalleled control over protocol selection, pairing options, and transmission power. I'm often asked if using Bluetooth is accurate enough for automotive testing. There's one thing you should bear in mind. You should not use an unqualified Bluetooth dongle. Only a laboratory-grade instrument such as the BTC4149 will give you the accuracy and control that you need. Configuring the BTC4149 is simple. When SoundCheck detects the presence of a BTC, it will automatically configure SoundCheck's hardware and calibration with the appropriate digital signal channels and signal paths. Once this configuration is in place, we can then use message steps in a SoundCheck sequence to configure, pair, and disconnect the BTC from the device under test. Let's take a look at how we can use message steps in a SoundCheck sequence to configure our BTC4149 to establish a Bluetooth connection and send a test signal to the audio system. Since we're in the studio today and don't have a car available, I'll be connecting to this car kit as opposed to a car's head unit. Okay, so now it's time for a quick demo in SoundCheck, and what I hope to show you here today is how we're going to be using message steps to configure the BTC and discover available devices and open up the audio channel between the BTC and the device so we can continue on with our acquisition and analysis in SoundCheck. So as you can see here in the sequence editor, I have three message steps called BTC Setup, BTC Get Address, and BTC Connect Audio. And I'll be using those to send commands to the BTC while the sequence is running. So let's quickly open these up and take a look at the functions of these steps. So BTC Setup is for the codec selection, and it allows us to select the A2DP codec. In this case, we'll be using SBC, and we can also select the HFP codec. I'm not going to be using HFP in this demo, but these are the available options for the HFP codec. The next step, BTC Get Address, is where the BTC will go out and look for discoverable devices. So this is a device connection step. And there are connection options here where we can connect by name, connect by address, or disconnect. And the other user configurable parameter here is the inquiry time or the discovery time. How many seconds do you want to spend searching the local area for a discoverable Bluetooth device? Pretty good value here is 10 seconds. And then lastly, we have the actual connection step where we open up the audio stream between the BTC and the connected device. What is most important here is the audio channel selection, whether or not we're going to connect over A2DP or HFP. And in this case, we'll be doing an A2DP connection. So otherwise, the sequence is pretty straightforward SoundCheck sequence. We're going to be using virtual instrument acquisition, similar to what Steve was showing in his previous demos. We'll be using signal generators and RTAs. And then a display step and a couple of operator dialogues to start and finish the sequence that give the operator some options about connectivity. So let's run the sequence. So the first step in the sequence is a message step, and it asks the operator if they're currently paired with the device under test, which we're not. So we're going to say no, and we'll go through the pairing routine. We're searching for discoverable devices, and there's a couple that have showed up here as available, and I know from experience that I actually want this C68 device here. So once I click OK, we'll proceed to the next message step where we're going to connect to the audio, and the sequence will progress from there. And so here's our final display, and there's one last message step asking me if I want to disconnect from the DUT, and I have the option of keeping the connection open in case I want to make another measurement here, or if I'm done, I can disconnect. So I'm going to say yes. And we're left with our final display, and what we're actually looking at here is the response of the car kit sending the signal over to an FM tuner, and then we're sending the tuner's response back into SoundCheck. So that's why we don't have a very flat response here. We're really seeing the characteristics of the tuner here in the final response. So there's a quick demo of how to use message steps in a SoundCheck sequence to connect to your Bluetooth device, send audio, and disconnect. Using SoundCheck in a device like the BTC4149 makes connecting to a vehicle's infotainment system a simple process.